Hello, thank you for stopping by. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to go over a few works in progress and then go through a box of vintage fabric that I bought from an online thrift store that surprised me a little bit. Before I get to that, I would like to just very quickly say that I intend to post videos more often and explain why I haven't been posting them very frequently. I have a few medical issues. One of the big ones is spinal stenosis in one of my cervical vertebrae, which is pretty severe. It causes a lot of pain. And there is also a benign tumor in my cervical spine, which sort of presses a little bit and causes some issues. And those issues, I believe, caused a neurological condition that is a problem between the signaling between your brain and your muscles, which creates a movement disorder, making it difficult to control your body movements and things like that sometimes. I am fine. There is no inherent risk to my health. It is mostly quality of life issues, pain and motor control. I am very lucky to have access to world-class healthcare at Northwestern Medical. Has one of the few programs in the country that treats this condition. So basically, it's sometimes very difficult for me to get up on camera and talk coherently. Sometimes I stutter and get very slow and sort of I lose the word. There are some days, several days in a row, sometimes where I'm much better, some days where I'm worse, but that can make filming a video difficult. And when I do, I have to maybe say the same sentences over and over and over, trying to edit them into something where I'm not stuttering as much. So I think, honestly, I'm just going to maybe start making videos where I don't edit as much. So I might be stuttering just a little bit or get a little bit lost. So moving forward, let's get into works in progress. I am currently working on a set of pajamas. I have finished the pajama bottoms and I'm very happy with them. Happy with the fit. I'm making a longer video featuring the process of making these pajamas. So that should be out in a couple of weeks. I think I have to start on the top. That should go pretty quickly, and then just finish putting the video together. But I've worn these pajama bottoms and they are very comfortable. Happy with them. My next big project coming up is going to be to use this big chunk of wool fabric that I got on a recent visit to London at a store called Meson West, and it was on Goldhawk Road. I'm going to use this to make a coat. And I figured out the pattern I want to use for it. It's a Folkwear pattern 263 men's frock coat. I went to their website and ordered a paper version of the pattern directly because I like to support small pattern makers as directly as possible. And I'm very happy to see that the pattern paper is sort of like the old Quixo patterns paper was. It's sort of white, maybe a little bit stiffer than like the brown tissue, but not terrible, because I really don't like using patterns that are printed on regular printer paper. That drives me nuts. It's a texture thing. So I have this on good paper to use. And I don't know when I'm going to get started on that, but that's an upcoming project. Quick update on this blanket I'm making. It's just gotten a little bit longer, but this is such a dense, this moss stitch is very dense, especially using this 24/7 cotton thread and I think a 5mm hook, a 4.5mm hook for the thread. So it's not a big bulky blanket that's gonna sew up quickly, but I do really like the texture of it, and it's helpful for my brain motor coordination when I'm watching TV or I'm just relaxing or something. It keeps my hands busy with a simple repetitive motion, almost like meditation. So I'm calling this my meditation blanket. it's going to take forever and a day to finish it. But the point's not to finish it, the point is to make it. So that brings me to the box of vintage fabrics that I recently bought online from Shop Goodwill. And I have half a thought to go back and revisit making some vintage Barbie clothes that I tried before, but I used too satiny of a fabric, and it was really hard to do little tiny clothes with slippery satin fabrics. So I've been looking for some like vintage cottons to buy, like scraps, like small pieces to make the Barbie clothes out of. And I found some on Shop Goodwill, and I thought, okay, this looks good. So I bought the lot fairly cheaply, and I was very surprised by how much fabric I got and how big some of these pieces are. But it is very old, like cottons. I would say 70s is my guess. Maybe, yeah, 70s era, early 70s. So I got this big box, which any of us who have bought fabric before know how much fabric can be squeezed into this little box. I have opened it and looked at the fabric already, so this isn't a complete surprise to me. But I just wanted to share. All right, starting with some cotton. Again, I thought this was like little tiny, like less than a yard square, less than a square yard each, like scraps. So I was very shocked when I realized how much usable fabric I got for how little I paid. It may have been $25. I don't think so. I think it was less than $20 for all of this. So this is a fairly narrow, maybe this is about a yard wide, 35 inches, 36. But it's a couple of yards long. It's a very nice print fabric. And it says on the selvage, it says Spring Cotton Mills. It also smells like my grandma's house. There was my cousin's great-grandmother, Grandma Good. She had a sewing room that smelled exactly like this. So when I opened this fabric, it reminded me of Grandma Good's sewing room. All right, I'm gonna have to be careful not to completely unfold every piece of fabric, or I'm gonna be here forever refolding it. All right, next piece. This is cotton as well. It's about the same size as that previous piece of fabric. Yeah, I think it's the 35-inch width again and a couple of yards in length. It's a very nice feel to the cotton. It feels like those good old-fashioned cotton sheets. There's something about the old cotton sheets that just feels so much nicer than modern ones, and I don't know what it is. This one, I don't know what possible use I will have for this print. It's cool, but not anything I need. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with some of this fabric. This first one, I'm going to, I think, flatline the frock coat I'm making using this fabric. It's a little bit, floral and more feminine, but you can get away with that on the lining of a gentleman's coat, and it softens it up and makes it a little bit nicer. Piece number 3 here. It's like this, it's like a very soft tweed. It feels not entirely cottony. I would say this is probably like maybe a cotton poly blend. It is woven, there's no stretch to it, but it's almost like there's a poly sheet with cotton woven onto it. It's kind of strange. This is a wider bolt than the previous two, but I think it is also 2 yards. So you can see the back of it and the front. I'm not sure what type of fabric this is, but it looks nice. This would make like a really cute like structured jacket or something for somebody, like a jacket and skirt set maybe. It's very cute, and I have no use for it at all. This is one of the ones I saw in the picture of the listing that made me buy it, because I thought, okay, I can use that for like a little Barbie outfit. That would be cute, but This is enough to make a human outfit out of, like a full-size human outfit out of, and I would hate to waste this. So again, I need to figure out what to do with some of these fabrics that I don't want to use, but they're really cool vintage fabrics that I know somebody could get good use out of. Next up, we have another one I saw that was really cool and funky. I think this print is really, really fun. It is, I don't know how to describe the texture, like a polyester crepe material maybe, but it's very sturdy. It's not like tissuey. So here's a close-up so you can see the back of it and the front a little better. And this print it's very, very pretty. Again, not anything I have any use for, but I definitely have an appreciation for. A fairly wide bolt. And again, I think 2 yards. Are you coming to help, Pearl? I got a kitty cat coming to help me. Next we have knit. This is an interesting one. It doesn't feel like a lot of the modern knits I get, but it reminds me of like a t-shirt I would have had as a young child in the 80s. I swear I had a t-shirt made out of this that looked exactly like this, like brown stripe. So it has, I think, just a 2-way stretch. So this way it has a lot of stretchiness. This way, very, very little. It has been sewn together on one side to, I don't know, it's just one solid tube, but it wasn't made as a tube, it was sewn together. But I believe there is just enough to make a short sleeve t-shirt out of. So I'm going to try to do that. Next, another cotton. This is a smaller amount, but it is... No, I take that back. It's about the same as this one, I think. Maybe a little bit less. I would describe this as a cotton sateen. I like the feel of it a lot, so this is one I'm keeping, and I might use as a lining. This is an alternative option for flat lining my frock coat if I decide I don't want to go with the floral one. Okay, next fabric. This is just hot pink cotton, like regular quilting cotton. It may be vintage, but you can still go and buy. It's like similar quality to, I would say, Kona cotton. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Kona. Yeah, probably 35 inches wide. And this is folded over twice, so this is almost 4 yards of it. 4 yards of hot pink cotton, quilting cotton. I'm going to keep a little bit of this to make some Barbie clothes out of. Maybe I'll keep a yard for myself. But the rest of it's going to go on its way with the other fabrics that are very useful, but I don't have a use for. Moving on, another cotton print. This one has... this one says J. Mains Company Incorporated on the selvage. None of the other ones have mentioned anything on the selvage as to what type of cotton they are. I think this is another one that is like 35 inches and 2 yards of length. It is this purple square sort of design. So again, the print is not to my taste. So I'm going to put this with the others. Oh, this one does have a tag on it from Pennies. So if anybody out there can date that tag, I'm guessing this is maybe 80s? I don't know. It could have been really anywhere. There's no barcode or anything like that. Moving on to the next piece of fabric, we've got more cotton. This one I'm going to keep for myself again just because I think I could use it for a lining or maybe even a shirt or something at some point. Again, we've got about 2 yards of 35-inch fabric. It's this sort of icy blue with this cool print on it. I'm really digging this one. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it, but I like it a lot. The next piece we've got, more cotton, continuing with the 2 yards of 35-inch width. Whoever stashed this they must have been fond of buying 2 yards of fabric at a time. So this has a little like leaf and vine pattern to it, and it's this nice red. I might keep this and I might not. It's not normally to my taste, but I was thinking maybe like making a vintage Western shirt pattern from this fabric might be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm going to put this in the maybe keep, maybe pass on pile. Moving on, I have a very strange knit. It almost feels like those old foam, like egg crates, which is a strange thing to say for knit. It is this sort of dusty mint green, and I don't know if the dustiness is part of the color or if it just needs to be washed. So the darker green part is the back, and the lighter part with the sort of green and pink tones to it is the front. It does have a little bit of one-way stretch. This is a nice wide piece of fabric, but it's just kind of square. You could definitely make a shirt or something out of it, like a skirt. I don't know what you would make out of this. But this is definitely not to my taste, and it's a very strange knit. This one makes me think it's a much older fabric because I don't think... Okay, it's definitely dusty. I'm going to put this in the wash pile. And if it doesn't I'm putting that in the wash pile, and if it doesn't disintegrate in the washer, yeah, I don't know if it was dusty or if the fabric itself is sort of crumbling from age, like old foam. That might be, unfortunately, a landfill one. I don't want to be inhaling lungfuls of whatever that might be made of. Okay, moving to the next one. This is another one that's a very weird knit. It's almost like a lame, but it's not a lame. So just a very, very little bit of stretch to it. And it's a sort of it's a sparkly gold look. You can see the lighter part is the back, the gold sparkle is the front. It's like very much the sort of fabric you'd expect like Bea Arthur to wear in the Golden Girls when she's going out in a fancy dress. I have no current use for this fabric. It might have some like costume applications. I don't know of anything specific. So I think I'm going to put it with the pile of vintage fabrics I have destined to be passed on to someone else. Okay, getting further into the box. Again, all of this was less than 20 bucks for all this vintage fabric so far, and I'm just over halfway done with the box, maybe 2/3. But for less than 20 bucks, and I thought this was just like very small scraps of fabric. I was shocked to find this many large pieces. So this one looks like cool. It's this very saturated, almost fluorescent red look to it. But God, it feels terrible. So it is the most polyester fabric you ever felt. I do think my grandmother may have had some shirts made from material like this. It has a very slight stretch to it. There's really no right or wrong side to it. It looks the same on either side. This is actually a very small amount of fabric as well. It's not a full 2 yards in length, and it's a very narrow bolt width. I might try to make like a Barbie dress out of this, but there's not much of it. So I'm going to put that in the keep to maybe use pile. It's not a lot of fabric, but maybe I can make something out of it. More cotton. So this is a nice vintage cotton, and I think the print on it is nice, and it has this sort of cute bubblegum pink look, color to it. But there is not a lot of this whatsoever. It's a very small amount. This is what I thought all of the pieces in this box were going to be like. Like this would be like one of the big ones from what I was expecting, but this is one of the small ones. So this is staying to make some doll clothes out of. Okay, then we have sort of a flannel. Again, this is not a very large piece, but I would definitely, it's been used. I would definitely call this cotton flannel. It's got this sort of skiing motif as the print. It's a very weird print, but it would have made like a nice pair of pajamas or something. There's not enough of it left to do too much. So that's going to be a doll clothes project. We've just got 3 pieces of fabric left. And I think these are kind of the funkier ones. Let's see. This one, I'm kind of digging the print, although it's a minuscule amount of fabric. There is a very, very slight stretch to it. So, but it's a very saturated, like colorful print. And it's very, very polyester feeling. It's not comfortable against the skin whatsoever. But I think it's cool looking. It's just small piece. It feels terrible. Doll clothes. All right, moving on. Second to the last piece. This is going to be doll clothes also. This feels like plastic. Like this just feels like straight plastic. It's cool, funky, old school print. It feels very 70s, but it feels like a very thin plastic screen sort of feeling almost. Or nylon, like it was woven from nylon thread. So this is definitely destined for vintage doll clothes, and I think it will make something kind of cute. All right, last but not least, there are 2 pieces of this, so it's a fairly large amount. Look how like sort of bright and fun this is. It has a little bit of a stretch to it. It's kind of satiny, kind of crepey. It does say 100% polyester on it, but for all of that, it doesn't feel too terrible. This is probably 35-inch wide fabric, 36-inch, something like that. About a little over a yard length. I don't know. It's a pretty sizable piece of fabric, but this one by itself wouldn't really be enough to make anything out of. But there's another piece of that is, again, a small scrap, but added to the other one, you could probably make a shirt or something out of it. And isn't that the coolest, like hippie, like psychedelic sort of print? This fabric is going in that stack of fabric to be moved on to a new home. All right, so that is everything. All of the fabrics. I have this stack of vintage fabrics that I'm going to rehome. This stack, which I'm going to keep for personal projects, and this wad that I'm going to use to make doll clothes. So all in all, I would say that has been a very successful mystery box of fabric. Super happy with it. Please let me know what you think should happen with all this fabric that needs to find a new home. I have kind of a thought to do a giveaway once I hit like a certain subscriber count or something. I'm not sure. I don't know if any of you would be interested in this this old fabric. I think it's really cool, but again, none of it is any style that I personally have any use for. But that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the future.